The wind howled across the Montana plains like a wounded coyote, scattering snow over the ridge and piling it against the old split-rail fence. Jed Monroe tugged his coat tighter and stepped onto the porch of his cabin, coffee steaming in one hand, a shotgun leaning against the door behind him. Winter came early this year. Bitter and mean. He liked it that way. It kept people away. Jed hadn't always been a loner. Years ago, his laugh used to echo through saloons, his hands would twirl a girl around the dance floor, and he had friends that'd ride 100 miles just to share a drink. But after the war took his brother, and a barn fire took his parents, Jed found it easier to just stop needing folks. He didn't want help. Didn't want to be responsible for anyone else's pain. The land was enough. The cattle, the sky, and the silence. But everything changed the day he found her. It was just past dawn when he spotted the tracks near the creek. Small boot prints half filled with snow, dragging slightly like whoever left them was hurt or exhausted. He followed them through the cottonwoods, shotgun ready, until he saw a figure curled beneath a rock overhang. A girl. Barely 12, maybe. Filthy. Shivering. Holding a burlap sack like it was a treasure. Jed knelt down slowly. "Hey now." She jerked awake, eyes wild. Tried to back away but stumbled. "Easy," he said. "Ain't gonna hurt you." She stared at him like a half-starved animal. Didn't speak. Jed noted the bruises on her wrists. The dried blood on her cheek. The torn boots. He cursed under his breath. "I've got a fire back at the cabin. Come on. Before your toes freeze off." The girl didn't move. So Jed took off his coat, wrapped it around her skinny shoulders, and added gently, "You don't got to talk. Just walk." She didn't say a word for the first 2 days. Jed gave her a corner of the cabin, laid out blankets, cooked up thick stew, and gave her space. She watched him with wary eyes, always sitting with her back to the wall. Her name, he learned eventually, was Mia. She was 10. Maybe 11. Her ma had died last spring. The man who took her in after, the one who called himself a preacher, had other things in mind. Jed's jaw clenched when she finally whispered that part. He didn't press for more, instead, he built her trust the only way he knew how, quietly. Winter deepened, trapping them in a world of snowdrifts and pale gray skies. Jed taught Mia how to chop kindling, how to brew coffee that wasn't bitter, and how to mend saddle straps. She learned fast. Listened hard. But she still flinched whenever he walked too close or spoke too loud. Then one morning, she surprised him. Jed was outside splitting logs when she came out onto the porch, holding a tin plate. "Brought you a biscuit," she mumbled. He blinked, set down the axe, and took the plate. It was dry. A little burnt. But warm. "Best damn biscuit I ever had," he said. She smiled. Just barely. Days turned into weeks. Mia started humming while sweeping the floors. Asked questions about the ranch. Helped him name the calves. She even followed him on a ride to the lower pasture one afternoon, wrapped in an oversized coat and bouncing awkwardly on the back of his mare. "You ever been on a horse?" he asked. She shook her head. "No one let me." Jed frowned. Well, they were fools. One night, a wolf howled near the ridge, and Mia bolted upright from a nightmare. Jed found her sitting in the corner, hugging her knees, crying silently. "Hey," he said softly. "You're safe here. Nothing's gonna get you." Mia looked at him, face pale in the firelight. "How do you know?" Jed hesitated, then pulled the shotgun from the wall and set it beside her blanket. "I don't let things hurt what's mine," he said. Her eyes widened slightly. "You don't own me," she whispered. Jed smiled, shaking his head. "No, Mia. Not like that. I meant, you're under my roof now. My care. That means you're protected. No strings. For the first time, she reached out and took his hand. Small fingers. Cold. But willing. It was the beginning. Spring came slow, melting snow in trickles down the mountain and coaxing green shoots from the brown fields. Mia started helping with more chores, feeding the chickens, oiling the tack, brushing down the horses. She laughed more. Ate more. Slept through most nights. Jed even found her stitching a little patchwork quilt from scraps one afternoon. Said I'm not good at much, she said, frowning at a crooked stitch. But I want to give something back. You're good at more than you know, he replied. You just didn't have someone to notice. Then came trouble. It always does, eventually. Jed was in town for supplies, left Mia with his neighbor's wife for a few hours. When he returned, a man in a long black coat was waiting by his gate, tall, greasy hair, eyes like cold nails. Said his name was Silas Brooke. Said he was searching for a runaway. Jed's blood went cold. You're not welcome here, he said. Silas grinned. You're harboring a child that don't belong to you. She don't belong to you either. She was under my roof. Jed's hand drifted to his hip. And I reckon she'd rather freeze to death than go back. Silas' grin faded. You ain't got no claim to her. Jed stepped forward, jaw set. No, but I got a shotgun and a full clip of shells. That count for anything? Silas narrowed his eyes. This ain't over, cowboy. Jed tipped his hat. It is if you ride now. He didn't tell Mia about the visit that night. Didn't want to rattle her. But the next morning, she found the rifle by the door and asked, Is someone coming? Jed looked her straight in the eyes. Maybe. But we'll handle it. She swallowed hard. He's not gonna take me. No, Mia. He's not. She stared at him for a long moment. Then nodded. And went to feed the chickens like nothing had happened. A few nights L. Silas stood at the tree line, holding something shiny in one hand. I could burn it all, he said. You think I won't? Jed raised his rifle. You try it, and you'll be ash before the match drops. Behind him, Mia opened the door quietly. Jed? Silas turned toward the voice. There she is. You think he's gonna protect you forever, girl? People like you get used, tossed out. That's life. Jed didn't speak. He just walked forward slowly, rifle raised. Silas lit the match. That was all the warning Jed needed. One shot cracked the night. The flame went out. Silas fell hard into the dirt, matchstick tumbling from his fingers. Jed stood still, chest heaving. Mia stood in the doorway, watching him. She didn't cry. She walked down the steps, took his hand again, and whispered, You kept your promise. The sheriff called it justified. Said Jed had the right. But Mia didn't talk much for days after. Jed didn't push. Instead, he fixed the fence. Took her riding. Built a new coop for the hens. And every evening, he sat by the fire and left the chair beside him open. One evening, she joined him. I was scared he'd come back forever, she said softly. Even when he was gone. I know. I didn't think I'd ever stop feeling like I was still his. Jed looked at her, his voice quiet. And now? I think I'm starting to feel like I'm yours. Jed blinked. Mine? She nodded. Like I'm home. He felt something catch in his throat. No words came. So he just opened his arms, and this time, she stepped into them without fear. Years later, folks in town would talk about the girl who came from nowhere and turned Jed Monroe into a father. They'd say she gave him a reason to smile again. To live again. But Jed always knew the truth. He gave her warmth when she was suffering. And in return, she gave him her trust. And there wasn't anything more sacred than that.